Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to do a little update about what I've been reading recently. I haven't made a book video in a while and it's time to do it. And I'm really excited about the books that I'm going to be reading in the next couple months. So I just wanted to share those with you today. Now my goal is to hopefully, ideally get these done in a month, but I'm giving myself 2 months just to be fair because I do listen to a lot of audiobooks, which I don't talk about, in my videos or anything, but I am listening to a couple audiobooks, so I'm always working through those as well. So a lot of times my physical books get put on the back burner just because it's easier to listen sometimes, especially with 3 kids, one of them being a toddler. So I'm just going to get into this little stack of books and show you what I'm going to be reading. Now first off is Birth Strike, The Hidden Fight Over Women's Work by Jenny Brown. And I think I've already read maybe, I don't know, the introduction and then maybe the first 2 chapters, or I'm working through the second chapter. I can't remember, and my baby took out my bookmark, so I'm not quite sure where I am at this point. But so far, this book, even though, I'm only like a chapter and a half in, I can already tell it's going to be very interesting and very deep as far as like just an overwhelming amount of information, which is fine. But there are books out there that you really have to take slow because it's just so much stuff, that's trying to work its way into your brain. So what this book is about, women's contribution to society and how in a lot of different countries and cultures that's highly valued and considered a very vital and valuable part of an economy and a culture and a society, whereas in other countries it's not valued at all, but yet still expected to be done. One thing that this book has brought up so far is that in a lot of developed nations, which I didn't know this, the birth rate has actually fallen below what is sustainable for the population, which really scares economists because they need women to have babies to make more workers for the future. Now, I don't know all the possible ramifications, and hopefully the book will teach me this, of a falling birth rate other than a negative impact on the economy. But it does seem kind of like a good thing for Earth in general. So I'm interested to see what this book is going to tell me about that. And it also is already talking in the first few chapters what certain countries have done to combat this. And so what some countries will do is encourage women to have babies by making a more pleasant experience, by providing more affordable maternity care and maternity leave, longer and paid, and then paternity leave, and also supporting moms after they have the baby, having incentives, to have children, such as free or reduced child care and things of that nature. Because an interesting point that this book brought up is that a lot of women in developed nations, the reason for the falling birth rate is because they aren't supported once they have children. So a lot of women are subconsciously or consciously making the choice between a thriving career or having children, because the way things are, as far as the support goes, a lot of women feel like they can't do both. So you either have to choose, do you want a career, or do you want a career, or do you want a family? Because doing both isn't always the best choice in the long term. So, and which, I didn't know this. I've obviously chosen to have a family. I also get to stay home and homeschool them. As of right now, this hits a little personally just because I could not re-enter the workforce even if I wanted to. I don't feel like I could. So I'm really interested to see where this book goes, because if I chose to re-enter the workforce right now, all of my paycheck would go towards childcare. So I don't feel like I can be a working mother. It doesn't make sense financially for us. We would actually be spending more money by me going and having a job. But, I'm fine with that. Like, I'm personally okay with that decision, but I can see where a lot of women would not be, you know, and see that's where the choice comes into play. So I'm really interested to see where, you know, this ends up and what I can learn from it. Moving on, the next book that I'm going to be reading is Dry by Neil Shusterman and Jared Shusterman. And I have read a couple of his other books. I read Unwind, but not any of the other books in the series. And then Scythe and Thunderhead. But all three of those books I really enjoyed. So I picked this one up because my library just got it in. So I don't know all of what this book is about, but when I did read the inside cover, basically it's about a dystopian, it's a dystopian book about like a climate crisis that happens where there's a massive drought and there's no water, and basically chaos ensues because there's no water. And so it's a really precious resource that people, I guess, are left fighting and warring over. I feel like this book will give me a little bit of anxiety because stuff that stems from climate change and like basically the earth belching and fighting back and like upheaval of all that, you know, the natural balance of things, gives me a lot of anxiety, which I actively seek out by listening to true crime and such. So this will be a perfect read for me, I think. I think that I will enjoy this. The next book I want to show you is, excuse me, Her Body, Our Laws by Michelle Oberman. And it says, on the front lines of the abortion war from El Salvador to Oklahoma. I got this book, the same place that I got this one, our local bookstore, which I really enjoy going to that bookstore because they have a lot of books that I've never heard of or I don't know are coming out. Like they make really careful selections, it seems, on their book choices. Like the stuff that they display there is way different than the stuff I see actively displayed like in a chain store like Barnes & Noble or something. So I found this at our local bookstore, and I thought it went really well. It'd be a good companion read for Birth Strike. But this basically covers abortion laws like across the world, and this author basically examines how that has affected their society as a whole. So I thought this would be really interesting just to get all sorts of perspectives and to see the long-term effect of what happens when you legislate women's bodies. So I'm pretty excited to read this. I think it'll be good, and it's another really dense read. I think I called this one deep, but it's not deep. I was looking for the word dense. Yes, another very dense read that I'm going to learn a lot, but I feel like I'll have to take it a little bit slow. I definitely can't speed read these. There's just so much information. Now, the last book that I hope to get done in the next month or two is Under the Banner of Heaven, A Story of Violent Faith by John Krakauer. And I think this might be, I think it was in the true crime section. Yeah, it was. So this is a true story. Looks like it takes place out west, but it's about a woman and her infant daughter, which is going to be like, ooh, I know, a little bit too much for me, I think. Getting murdered by a couple of religious fanatics, and I don't know what religion they belong to, but I think this will be really interesting. I personally really like true crime. I prefer to watch it, but sometimes, you know, I'll read a book, and this one looked like it would be a nice, I don't know, it just looked like it would be nice. Maybe it's because it's hardcover, like, I just think it'll be better written than a lot of other true crime books. I don't know. So this is gonna, I don't know, I'm pretty excited to get into this one. Once you get into like murder in religion, it kind of like turns a little cultish, and I love learning about cults. So I think this will be good. Yeah. So those are the books that I plan to read in the next month or two. What are you guys reading? Have you read any of these, and what did you think about them? I know I've seen some reviews on Dry on YouTube, but I haven't seen any about these or this one. So let me know if you've read these and what you thought. Let me know what you're reading, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all again really soon.